Welcome back to the channel. I'm your lovely host Lanza, back here to give you a brief breakdown of my thoughts of the first episode of Hell's Paradise. Seeing as how the first episode just dropped a few days ago and considering my immense love for this series, I couldn't help but come to the decision of covering these episodes weekly and inspecting how this adaptation fares. Unfortunately, I must confess something to you, my listeners. I'm playing favorites this season, but only because this season is looking particularly empty in terms of heavy hitters. Who else can give the third season of Demon Slayer a run for their money other than its natural enemy, the anti-shonen dark horse, Hell's Paradise? Studio Mappa has given this series a fighting chance and brought it into the spotlight, which is something it certainly deserves. There must be some sort of competition against this monolith of a franchise. If this is your first time here at my channel, then welcome. Thank the algorithm for setting us up on this intimate date. Consider subscribing for weekly videos covering Hell's Paradise's first season and any other unnamed projects that are broiling in the back burner. The format for this video will be simple, as this will be the style of reviewing every episode in these weekly breakdowns. First, I'll give a brief summary of the episode, so unfortunately I must raise the warning of spoilers. I think Hell's Paradise is an exceptional show. This first episode has bought my good faith and I implore you all to give it a watch. If you already have watched it, then welcome, you've joined us. The second section will be the summation of my thoughts on the episode overall. I will break down not just the events of the anime, but also as someone who has already read the series in its manga format, provide a degree of hindsight to the adaptation. I think my input in the conversation on how Mappa treats our beloved child with its artistic decisions can be of some good use. The third and final section of my video will have me take the backseat as how we go on a technological safari. I want to showcase the public's thoughts on the matter and how Hell's Paradise resonates with them. I believe a cardinal sin of a content creator is staying within a bubble, and I would like to take in opinions from both sides on the aisle to keep a nuanced view of this anime. Who knows, maybe if you comment below, you'll see yourself in the next video. Also, interacting with the larger fan base as a whole only helps the fan base grow. I want these videos to be bite-sized, to listen to right before the day starts, or as a final goodnight before going to sleep. Anyway, I've been going on for far too long. Without further meandering, I present to you Hell's Paradise, Episode 1. Episode 1 introduces our main character, Gabimaru, or rather known by his name of the trade, Gabimaru the Hollow, an elite ninja known for his deadly abilities and efficient execution of tasks. Unfortunately, Gabimaru is the subject of various failed executions. The reason being their failures is because his body is just built different. While the failed executions continue, a curious woman inquires as to why he refuses to die, to which Gabimaru denies. At last, Gabimaru is presented before this mysterious woman and learns she is a skilled executioner, Yamada Asamon Sagiri, who can most definitely take his head through her way of the sword. As Gabimaru puts up a struggle and avoids near-death decapitation, we are told that the reason he continues to live is for his wife, the chief's daughter, who just so happens to be the chief of the ninja village which Gabimaru hails from. After attempting to quit his trade of being a ninja, the chief set up a trap which resulted in Gabimaru's capture. This woman was able to show Gabimaru that there's more to life than just killing and that he actually isn't hollow. Sagiri poses a negotiation. If he partakes in the shogunate's upcoming expedition to the underworld and finds the famed elixir of life, he can receive a full pardon. Gabimaru agrees, and the two head out to join the rest of the participants. Let's get the main observations on this episode out of the way. The animation. Time and time again, Mappa continues to flex their prowess in animating in the anime industry. The animation, simply put, is beautiful. Let me extend an olive branch to the individuals who don't really agree with me right now. The setting for this first episode is not meant to be beautiful. It is a desolate, droll, empty atmosphere which inspires no life. It's a reflection of Gabimaru's personality on the outside, an uncaring and cruel land. The prison stronghold is claustrophobic, a dimly lit cell, and execution grounds lit up by torches that don't really give an opportunity for an animation team to flex their creative muscle. This setting is supposed to look barely alive, to later compare it to the island's vibrant colors. Just take a quick look at the trailers, especially in the third trailer where Sagiri is looking off in a direction. There is beauty anywhere but in this prison stronghold. Essentially, the animators have dulled your color palette, as the only colors you become aware of are these black, dark browns, basically nothing that inspires. Then the scene where color truly comes to life is when Gabimaru accepts the agreement for a pardon, and he activates his ninjutsu, Ascetic Blade. Oh man, does this activation of this ability steal the scene. God, it steals the entire episode. It's so well animated. I'm just very pleased to say it lived up to the expectations I had from the manga. The Ascetic Blade is a great representation of Gabimaru as a whole, as he is an extremely simple-looking man. I mentioned in my previous Hell's Paradise video, Gabimaru is just plain. His drip is not flexing on anyone. But you best believe when Ascetic Blade comes out, everyone's kneeling. Aside from the color choices, the smooth animation of brief fighting between Gabimaru and Sagiri is enough to titillate the senses on what is to come. MAPPA has shown that they are completely capable of animating the atmosphere properly and giving it the correct tone. One thing to note is that the soundtrack generally sounded pretty docile in comparison to the animation. There is, however, one specific beat during the activation of Ascetic Blade that I do remember after watching the episode twice. The drums of anxiety as we know what's about to happen when Gabimaru unleashes his ninjutsu plays perfectly in this scene. So far, in the animation department, we can rest easy as MAPPA will be throwing around W's for us. But this first episode brought up one major concern I have, one that will impact the rest of this season. The first episode was an almost identical adaptation of the first chapter of the manga. Maybe someone saw the Ascetic Blade scene and was mad that they actually didn't get to see it, just the aftermath. Don't worry, the panels were also blacked out and we have a badass Gabimaru atop the piled bodies. In terms of being an accurate adaptation so far, based on the first episode, we've achieved a success in that criteria as well. However, the concern will now deal with the pacing of this adaptation. I didn't know beforehand whether this would be a 13-episode season or a 24-episode season. After some internet sleuthing, an article was able to confirm, based on seeing the Blu-rays, that we will only receive 13 episodes for the first season. Now, this allows me to frame my expectations and place a dot on where we might end up for the 13th episode. See, the only reason I think this is an issue is because of another red flag: the actual length of this anime. Hell's Paradise is at most just a few days, quite possibly 3. Finding a good resting spot while keeping the foot on the gas is important to hype up a possible second season. Even considering the trailers and footage that they've shown for now, we're bound to end the first season on a key battle between the expedition party and unknown inhabitants from the island. I'm extremely curious to see how they go about in adapting the path to the first major battle of this series. At the time of this recording, it has been about 2 days since the release of the first episode. The first episode has been marinating over the weekend, as I assume the majority of its views come from this weekend. So the ultimate question is, what do people really think about this anime so far? Comment number 1 I'd like to bring attention to is quite telling of the state of advertising for this series. It says, "Yo, I didn't even know this show was airing. What the hell? Crying emoji ×3. To which a comment replying to it says, "I really hope word of mouth does all the heavy lifting in getting it noticed." The first time I remember being aware of a lack of advertising is when Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie, was set to premiere here in the States. However, there was a noticeable lack of ads or commercials just a few weeks before it was released. I mean, honestly, consider it. Remember Broly, or I think, the movie Broly was being advertised during the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade. Just a big inflatable Goku. But nothing for Dragon Ball Superhero. I noticed the same situation with Hell's Paradise, where I haven't really seen any advertisements or promotional videos being recommended on my feed. The only way I saw the trailers themselves was by literally typing into the search engine Hell's Paradise or a post from an anime forum. Comment number 2 states, "Starting the season with a banger episode. I wonder if she's lying about the wife waiting for him to motivate him." Quite a cynical take for those of you who have only watched the anime. Theories are bound to shake our foundation, as Gabimaru is certainly taking all priorities in reaching his wife. For us manga readers, this comment stifled a laugh out of me because of how on the nose future conflicts arise all relating to Gabimaru's wife. All we know is that Gabimaru's wife is waiting for him, but we realistically never cut away from the main story to focus on her perspective. Comment number 3 states, "A generic and corny start about a protagonist who is dead inside, but actually isn't dead and empty because the power of love propels him." And to that, a reply, "Fair, but the setting, mythology, and the environment sell it." To which I must say is quite an accurate assessment to the story. In the video prior to this Hell's Paradise, Should You Be Worried, I mentioned to you all that Gabimaru isn't really a complicated character. He's extremely straightforward. All he cares about is eventually returning and meeting his wife. He doesn't rank high on the character complexity, and you basically have most of his character development in the first episode. Him coming to terms with loving his wife and not actually wanting to die, to confront the truth. The cast of Hell's Paradise, especially Sagiri, is far more developed and have personal issues they confront that makes the series really shine. Comment number 4, and our last comment for today's segment. Not gonna lie, the first episode, especially the dialogues, were generic as hell. To which, unfortunately, I have to agree. As mentioned in the reply from the earlier comment mentioned, Hell's Paradise isn't really a show carried by its dialogue, but rather by the world we explore. It truly is a Jurassic Park of anime where most of our attention is caught by the expedition, the setting of the island, and the concepts that the antagonists introduce. Dialogue is left to the side and isn't really one of the main reasons why this series is so good. That wraps it up for our discussion on public opinion. I'm hoping maybe more I'll be able to include for the second episode, and maybe get some more different takes. Based on these takes, at least, I think I can say so far Hell's Paradise has bought our goodwill for the next episode, while keeping a skeptical doubt in the back of our mind. But we should take note of something that is extremely important. We need to reach this island as soon as possible. The audience wants to know why this series is so good, and if we continue to stay in the realm of the normal, then the audience will begin to stray away and focus on the more popular or funny, such as Demon Slayer or Konosuba. Two very huge competitors for this season. That finishes up our overall breakdown. I'd like to know your thoughts on the first episode as well if you find yourself watching up until this point. As stated before, if you like what you hear, subscribe over to join me on this weekly discussion. With that being said, I hope you all take care and have a great day.